throughout creation have a lot of interesting words and word choice and wordplay. And one of the things is incandescence that you use. So as you're doing a song and you're picking, that's not a standard word that's in a lot of rap songs. So how, like, what does that come from, or where do you feel comfortable incorporating that type of vocabulary into this type of song?
Yeah, so when same as what I'm saying with like studying and trying to break it down. So I try to be very intentional um about word choice with certain bars, with certain lyrics. And I'm thinking about the listener. Really, I guess the short answer is like I'm thinking about the listener, and I know the listener hears the word light or bright or these certain words all the time. So sometimes I'm intentionally trying to say a word that is not part of the normal vocabulary that they are here to hopefully like pull them in. I know me personally, sometimes when I hear things, whether it's in a song or just in period, if I hear a word and I don't know, I'll like pause and then look it up. So I'm thinking about that element in the song as well to back to the beginning, trying to keep it fresh. With stories like Genesis, the creation, even amongst Christians or non-Christians too, probably it's like I know that story. But it's so much in it. So I'm just thinking of I'm not trying to add to the word, but how can using the gifts God gave me, I can continue to like make people like peek back in. Hold on, let me read that again. Type.
Makes sense. And with words in the creation song, you reference, as throughout the Bible, there's a lot of references to fish. And
Mm-hmm.
also, fish are obviously prominent in our world throughout the Bible and in the creation song. So,
Mm-hmm.
as you've grown in your studies and in life, why do you think fish have been so important to us as people since more or less biblical times and earlier, of course, but up till today?
Yeah, man, that's a really good question, right? It's a really good question. And I have my answer, but my answer it's so prevalent that my answer is only a piece of it because I'm still like, man, it really runs deep. I even have to do more studying. But I will say this is that I think that the basis of survival, is, hunting and gathering and, things like that. And so using things that are coming to sustaining us. So when you talk about like the concept of fishing, I think that's a very universal practice of sustaining life. And so I know we see in the Bible that's oftentimes, they're talking about, whether it's, the disciples that are out fishing, or it's talking about Jesus turning fish into, you know, um, into more to feed the 5,000 and things like that up until, this day. I think that it has something to do with the sustainability of like the foundational human needing substance to feed themselves, and also like a craft or a skill or a trade that also kind of goes hand in hand with it. So that's kind of some of my thoughts as of now, but I'm honestly not sure exactly like the magnitude of it. That's something that I'm still looking into myself.
Hmm. Okay. And
Yeah.
with creation, there's also a lot of discussion of birds. They're also very
Hmm.
symbolic throughout the Bible, throughout a lot of religions, and, I'd say in a lot of literature outside of the Bible as well. So
Hmm.
you mentioned the rooster, the dove, the raven, the sparrow, a lot of these different birds. So similarly to fish, why do you think birds are so significant uh, in
Yeah.
in your in not only the creation song but in the Bible, in Genesis, and in literature?
Yeah. So, as I read the Bible, and as I read, as I study um Genesis and the creation story, one thing that I realize is God is so intentional. You know, Everything that he does is for a purpose, is for a reason. And so I think that the way God has laid everything out is to show us parts of himself and to express who he is to us from a macro level to a micro level. So, like you said, the different type of birds, so us just having different colors or different tastes, just all these different things. I think that they're all small things that add up to just show like the magnitude of God. So, speaking with the birds, for example, all those birds have different representations and serve different purposes. And so the raven, for example, in the Bible in the Old Testament was known to be unclean. And so, but the raven was what God used to feed Elijah, one of his prophets. So in that case, the interpretation is God can even use the unclean thing or can even use a bad thing to get across his will. And so in that case, that's how it's interpreted, right? But then, the dove on Jesus' shoulder is signifying clearly something completely different because it's after his baptism. So, long story short, I think that God just uses his creation to just show different attributes and abilities that he has in the way that he can work through things.
Yeah, and I think you do a good job of that throughout creation of identifying a lot of these points. And another one was you raised the question of why did God rest? So
Mm.
symbolically and then literally, why do you think God rested in Genesis in the this story?
Right, right, right. Yeah, so I think literally God rest um as the ultimate example. Like so the way that God is creating things and doing things and walking through things, I think that they're all intended as an example. And so in not just Christianity, but people that believe in God, period. Oftentimes they'll believe in his will that will be done, and no matter what you do, it's gonna happen. They'll believe in a conditional will where if you do this, then he'll do that. They'll believe God knows all things, but they may believe that God doesn't necessarily experience all things like sin. He knows about it, but he doesn't experience it, right? So you have all these different. So I think that when God is in the Bible giving us examples of different things, it's helping us to understand for our benefit, for our sake. So then symbolically, I think that the rest that God is having in the Bible is to set a model or to set an example for us. The common belief is, even if you're a believer, the belief is, oh, excuse me, the I think uh, in the beginning you believe like I need to work as hard as I can, do good, go hard, grind, and then like I'm tired, so I rest, and then I can turn back up again. But I believe that God is showcasing the symbolism of like, no, you rest in me. Like you come and you lay whatever burden, whatever problem, whatever you got, you lay that down on me, you rest in me, and I'm the one gonna charge you up and then you go out and work from that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a complete flip on what oftentimes we believe we should be doing. So that's my interpretation of it. And I feel like if we think about it if we think about what makes the most sense, it would be that, not that we do our thing and then go to God, but that we would go to him first and then have him send us out.
Yeah. And with all that, I think it's important too that you had mentioned about letting go of the fear you're holding, pain, trauma, drama. So whether you're a Christian or not, or whether you're spiritual or not, that seems to be since the beginning of time a real struggle for people. So how do you navigate that for yourself?
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Man. So one, it's the so the so faith. Faith is the belief in a thing that you can't see and then acting like the thing is real. So it's those without those two parts, it's not faith. And in having faith, it doesn't always feel good, right? Like you're just going through. I feel sometimes you feel like you're just going through the motions. You don't always want to work out, but it's like, let me get up and drive to the gym, right? But if you keep doing that over and over again, it's gonna be good for you. So I think the first thing is like having faith that it's not about what I lack, but it's about God's abundance. So when I'm going through that pain, that struggle, that turmoil, I'm in my wilderness years. I mean, I'm in my wilderness time, right? I'm looking at me and what I have, what I don't have, how I feel. And so for me, it's looking at God and all that He has and all that He's done and what He is currently doing. I think that's first and foremost on trying to get through it. Then in believing that it really is seeking the knowledge and understanding things. So in reading and studying the scriptures, you see none of this is new. Like you're not the first person to feel this way, to go through some things, to be down. So you'll see you're not alone. And then I say the third part to it is community. Being around other people that's gonna help you, that's gonna support you. It's been times where people in my circle saw stuff in me I didn't even see. I may wanted to quit or be down or be out. And they like, nah, we gonna do this, we gonna do that. And them helping me get through it once I kind of start coming to, I'm like, man, okay, yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? So I think that faith piece, genuinely studying and understanding, and then getting around some people that's gonna support you.